Hello and welcome. We are live here in suburbanite South Seaside Park, New Jersey, and I'm here with lovely actress and model Marisa Bertani.
Hello.
Welcome, Marisa. I'm sorry to cut you off like that, but we actually just filmed a scene for my new web series, which Marisa is a part of, called The American Benefactor, and I wanted to interview Marisa because she has an interesting story to tell in terms of coming to New York and starting an acting career and a modeling career. So Marisa, let's start with, how did you get into acting? It's, every actor, they have like a little bit of a story because it's a crazy lifestyle,
Right.
as we all know. So what's your story? How did you get the bug to become an actor?
So I think the first inspiration, like every small child, is you watch Disney Channel and you see all these kids your age on these shows. And I wanted to do it ever since I was like 12 years old. And so, long story short, I'm one of 5 kids. The attention that you need to be a child actor is a lot. So, it just kind of wasn't really in the works yet. I still wanted to do it. And then finally I got to high school. We had a drama club. And I wanted to audition for the musical, which at the time was Singing in the Rain. And I auditioned for Lena Lamont, which is this squeaky, high-voiced character. And I practiced all weekend to do this voice, and I got the role. So started with that. I ended up, my town does the community theater in our town, my hometown, Altoona, Pennsylvania. They have the Isaac Awards, which are pretty much the Tonys in a small community. And through that, I was nominated for Best Actress in a Supporting Role for my role as Lena Lamont, and I won, which was so fun.
That's great.
And from there, it just tumbled.
Once you have the bug, there's nothing much
There was
you
no
can do.
stopping me. Yeah, it's all I wanted to do. So consumed everything that I did. I quit sports. I quit cheerleading. Like, I was very much into acting from then on.
Cool. And what was the process like coming from a small town, Altoona, Pennsylvania, and now you move to the big city? What was that transition like, and how did it work out for you?
The transition, I feel, is very much I was very lucky that it was an easy transition. I think the biggest thing was the mental push that I needed within myself to move. It's very much a standard in any small town that I'm sure many people can relate to, of like staying. You don't really venture out. New York is a big city where I come from, so for me to move, it was a big deal. People didn't do that. So
just being the comfort and like the normality of everything.
It's comfortable, it's normal, and to come here, and all of my friends were in nursing school or becoming engineers or lawyers, and so for me to just say, oh yeah, I'm going to move to New York and be an actress was something I had to push myself. But I was lucky to have my family supporting me as well, telling me to go do it. And once I moved here, what took about, like any normal person moving to a huge city, it took about a year for me to even adjust living here, getting a job that could support me. I really wasn't even focused on acting all too much my first year of just like the transition of coming. But then from there, I got no jobs. I wasn't doing anything. I didn't know where to start. I kind of didn't have a game plan. And one of my friends actually had mentioned to look into like print work and lifestyle modeling, which I had never heard of. Anything with modeling I felt was for women who were 5'8" and above. And so I started kind of submitting with what I had. I got new headshots to submit with. And from there, I started getting some agents who were interested in me and was working on commercial work and print modeling. So
that's
that
awesome.
kind of somersaulted into doing a few films and getting more auditions for what my main career is.
Which is
TV film. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And I know you just came back, or about a month and a half ago. You were in Montana.
I was in Montana. I did a print campaign for a Truly spiked and sparkling beverage. It's actually really delicious if you get to try. But yeah, we were out there for a week. There were 3 other talent that were out there with me with the production crew, and it was a blast. It was this snow ski resort themed campaign, print and video. So it was a lot of fun. Lifestyle I really enjoy because it really is lifestyle. You are acting in the moment and just having fun, which is what anything with lifestyle is. It's because you enjoying that moment, you know.
And enjoying the product. And they need that authenticity to really show it.
Yeah, and I think acting in my training, just through Penn State, I think has helped kind of get through that and make it more authentic and help me book things.
Cool.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your film and TV work? You've done a lot of independent stuff. Well, obviously, you're working with me on American Benefactor. But what are some of the other projects that you've worked on? What's a project that really just stands out to you?
So, other than, so last summer I shot my first feature, which was a horror film called The Hinsdale House. It's actually premiering in August of this year, 2019, directed by Steve Stenulus. And that was exciting because we shot it in a real haunted house.
Wow.
And I didn't know that until they offered me the role. So they kind of tricked me in
Would
the audition.
that have affected you taking the position?
I thought about it. Once they had offered me the role and they were like, hey, by the way, we're shooting in a real haunted house, it took me a few days to kind of get into the mindset. I actually walked into a natural health store, and they had sold crystals and things, and the guy's like, hey, what can I help you with? I'm like, I need protection. So I got a few crystals, and it was just like, I'm just gonna trust in this and hope I don't come back possessed. You take it very seriously,
the spiritual aspect of all that is very...
it's something that I don't want to ever mess with. Okay. I'm not sure that I 100% believe in ghosts and things like that, but I didn't want to find out.
Gotcha.
So, as any horror movie goes, I feel like they're like, ghosts aren't real, and then they become possessed, and that's not gonna be me. So.
Cool. So that was a big experience, and then for the American Benefactor, you're only really in the opening scene, but your presence and your part in this film, in this web series, is so important because you're the catalyst for the whole film. Yeah. So we just did a scene that I think came out really well, and Marisa did a great job, and it starts everything for the whole film, and Marisa's character in the project is someone who is very conflicted in terms of her relationships, in terms of her place in the world, in terms of her place in my character's life as well. And I think that dynamic, it just makes it very interesting. And even though you're really only in this opening scene, you're going to carry a lot of the show going forward. So that's really cool. That's
a big role to take on for so many lines.
Yeah, I know. It's just, but that's how it is a lot of the times in really impactful roles and impactful scenes. So what are some other projects that you're working on? Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Yeah, so I've been doing some projects here and there. I just recently finished filming a pilot web series with Fuzz on the Lens Production, which is another production company that I really enjoy working with. But I'm also kind of venturing to the other side of the camera.
Oh, yes. Yeah, please tell us.
I've written a web series called The Roommate. They're about 5 minutes long each episode, so they're very quick. It's about this woman, Zoe, she lives in New York City and gets a new roommate named Fletcher, and shit just goes down. In the most comedic way possible. It's not a drama. But it was my first venture into kind of writing. I've had the idea since, I would say, 2016.
Wow.
And I didn't really have enough confidence to put it into action until now, which is great. So about a couple months ago, I went back and I looked at the script again. I'm like, I just don't really want to do this. And it was terrible, the script that I had written a couple of years ago. So I was like, okay, well, I'm thankful for recognizing this is terrible. So I went back in, redid it, worked with a very good friend of mine, Leah Voicey, who helped co-write it, as well as Terrence Hall. He helped co-write as well. And it was a blast to write. So I'm planning on filming it in May. If I have any DPs out there who want to be part of the project, my sound guys, call me. I'm just looking for all hands on board in terms of getting it done, getting it out there, and showing it to you guys.
Yeah. When I read it, like you just see you in the role of Zoe.
Yeah.
Is it based on your own experiences?
I would say somewhat. I luckily, when I moved to the city, my roommates, they're my best friends to this day.
And you just met them when you moved to
I
Manhattan?
met them through one of their old roommates by happenstance that I posted on like Gypsy Housing on Facebook. And yeah, we became best friends. Like as soon as we moved in, we just clicked. So I'm not exactly sure where I had the bad roommate thing. I think it mostly came from things that would happen around the apartment, and I'm like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if, and just had these ideas of just making it more comedic. Like, for some reason, my roommate, Mallory at the time, would like be sitting there watching this really intense TV show, and you just like see like actually in the background I'm just brushing my teeth as she's like trying to watch this show because I just want to like see what's going on, and she's like turning around. I'm just like, what? What are you doing? So from there, I think it kind of turned into something a little more outrageous and comedic. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun to write. I'm really excited to finally get it onto film.
Cool. And just from being on set and being in a lot of the productions, is that what gave you the confidence to write and to actually produce your own project?
Yeah, definitely. I think the experience that I had just within the past few years, luckily with my commercial and lifestyle modeling career has been going very well. So just being on set all the time and making those connections, doing, smaller independent work as well, kind of gives me the confidence to ask questions and see what other people are doing and taking more advice and asking for advice, which I think is something to kind of put your pride aside about and just to keep learning. So just, learning is what gave me the confidence to do it. There's still so much I don't know.
Well, everyone learns. Each step of the way, you're always learning new stuff.
And that was the thing, too. I'm like, I want to get in there on the other side of the camera and kind of see what it takes to make something. As an actor, you only see, the top of the iceberg in terms of what's actually going into a production. So to have your hands in the whole part of it is a learning experience that's just priceless.
Yeah, the public just sees the actors, but what they don't know and what people in our industry do know is that the actors are just one part of a huge production.
They have like
between
they're like 5%
really,
of what actually happens.
It's so true. It's just you're just one part of that, and to see how the script actually gets made and how it gets produced, I think is really invaluable. And if you have an interest in telling your own stories, why not? I mean, that's what I've done. That's what a lot of actors are doing now. Because you have the capabilities, you have the for relatively cheap, you can
shoot it on an iPhone if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's really the possibilities are endless.
It's
I
true.
think nowadays.
And it's you can do things for so cheap, and you can just tell those good stories as long as it's written right. And I think you did a good thing with making sure the script is solid, because that's what a lot of people I feel they don't do, is that they just say, well, I have this great idea for a web series or a show, and they don't understand what goes into the pre-production. They don't understand that you really need a solid script, and you have to work on this script continually until it gets to the point where you're like, this is ready.
Yeah.
And then once you have the script ready, then it's about figuring out, like, all right, now I have to put the pieces in place, just like you're doing with casting, with camera operators, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a whole process. But if you have a passion for it, and you have a love for it, and you have this story that you have to tell, it's just you wake up to do this.
Yeah. If you feel that yearning to create, pursue it. Don't ever let it pass you by, because there are months on end where you feel like you have no creativity left in your bones.
It's true.
And then you wake up one day and you have this amazing idea. It's like you have to put it down on paper and talk to people about it. That's how it gets created and out there for people to see.
So true. Now you have how many episodes written?
I have 5 episodes written.
And how many do you plan on filming?
I'd
all of
like
them?
I would, because they're so short, they're about 5 minutes each. I think it would be very possible to shoot them all on a weekend. But I'm not exactly, this is why I'm kind of getting a few people to look at it to see exactly how long it would take, ideally a weekend. But I would like 8 episodes in a season. So the first, I feel like I'm going to take the pilot and try pitching it first before I release all the other ones. And then if I don't get anything from that, then I'll go back and I'll release the rest on a platform like YouTube or something like that.
Okay, cool. So that's the plan. You'll film one, and then when you say pitching it to who? You don't even,
Anyone who will watch it.
Yeah, everybody's in the same spot.
Festivals, you know, anything.
Any production company.
Yeah, any production companies
hard.
or distributors that are willing to take a look at it. But it's not about getting like distribution on it. It's more just about entering it to festivals and allowing more people to watch it, getting more feedback, seeing how I can do it better next time, and learn from it more than anything. I think
that's such a great attitude. Yeah, it's like just learning. I mean, each experience. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and at each project you continue to do, you always learn something, and you always get better. And I think a lot of things, I'm actually going to do my own video about it, is that a lot of people, they'll do a project and they'll get some bad feedback, and that'll completely destroy their hopes of doing anything again. And you shouldn't look at it like that.
Right.
Like,
well, when the project is your baby, it's hard not to look at it like that. But it is poisonous a little bit to look at it as...
Yeah, but you shouldn't think of it, at least the way that I view it, is you shouldn't think of it as this is defining me as an artist.
Exactly.
This is just one thing that I put out there.
One
and sometimes
piece of the puzzle,
it's going to resonate with an audience, and sometimes it's not. But each experience is an opportunity for learning and for growth. And you have to have that, I believe, no matter if you've been doing it if this is your first time doing it, or if you've been doing it for years and years. Because, it's a creative industry. It's not 1 + 1 = 2. It's as Bruce Springsteen says, my hero, my idol. 1 + 1 = 3, and that's what we do as artists. That's what we do as creators. So there is no right and wrong. It's just you gotta think of a way to put it out there and make it impactful, and and that's just the way it is. So
if even one person likes it, I'm happy.
Yeah,
that's all I need.
That's a great attitude.
One person, and it could just be me. I could be my one person. So.
That's a great attitude, and just the experience that you have is. That's really
where
So that's really cool. Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to us about? Any other big productions coming on, or?
Well, just filming The Roommate. I think that's my biggest project right now. Obviously, castings and things like that keep me somewhat busy during the week.
So you're looking over like submissions and all that and things.
Right.
Did you have auditions yet or not yet?
So most of the roles are already cast.
Okay.
I did write them with a lot of people specifically in mind. But Fletcher, who's my main guy.
And that's a big role. You need a really good actor to take that part.
Right now I'm in the process. I've submitted a breakdown for Actors Access for submissions. If anyone is interested, please submit if you fit the breakdown. Ladies, I love you. Please do not submit. I'm looking for a guy. I actually it's incredible. This is another learning experience. I've never seen the other side of Actors Access. So to go in...
And it's not hard to do.
And it's not hard. It's so easy. It's free. It's free to submit. And one of the biggest things that I found is actors will submit when they don't fit the breakdown, when they don't fit the gender of what I'm looking for.
And how that makes you upset. So how do you think the casting directors feel?
Well, exactly. I'm like, oh man, it's a waste of time. Yeah. It's such a waste of time to have to look through, and it's like you clearly don't fit what I'm looking for. Like, why are you submitting? But hey, I guess sometimes you don't know what you're looking for, so maybe in other instances. But anyway,
tell us
so
the
breakdown.
Fletcher,
so I really want him. He's like a slightly overweight mid-20s man who is very goofy. He uses his humor to alleviate tense situations. That's his first thing he goes to is he's cracking jokes. But I want him to be somebody that's very charismatic,
When I read it, I thought of like a Zach Galifianakis.
Exactly,
Yes.
Zach Galifianakis. Josh Gad is another a good one. But just this bombastic man who we can't quite figure out. I want him to be a mystery to the audience, that we are always finding out something new that's just like, what? Like, why? You know? But I want him to...
But he's very lovable.
He's very lovable.
Yes.
He's a lovable, goofy, charismatic man who just manages, every time he tries to fix a situation, he just messes it up by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Everything he does is a good intention. He's a very genuine human being, but every time he intervenes, it messes something up.
And that's where the comedy lies.
And that's where the comedy lies, is him with Zoe. Zoe is a very uptight, everything has to be perfect style character. She's very invested in her career. She's single. She's trying to find someone to date. So everything she's doing is kind of like this pressure on herself. And so to have a character who's just the complete opposite of that, he's very laid back, he's goofy, he doesn't take anything too seriously. It's a really nice parallel in terms of their characters together, just where the comedy lies.
Cool.
So,
Yeah, that's it. For even, you know, it's a low budget project, but for any actor that takes on a role like that, I mean, the footage that you get for your reel is
exactly.
priceless.
Well, and the artistic, I think the biggest thing too is I'm very open to actors having a say. And talking with me, I would like to direct it as well. I don't know if I already said that. But I want actors to be able to come to me and be like, hey, what about this? Like, I want this character to have artistic freedoms and improv freedoms. Yeah. It's a very fun script that I want, you know, it has its base, but I really want to build on that and allow people to play characters that they don't normally get to play, or that are too bombastic and, you know, other situations to play this role and things like that. So
yeah. So it sounds like you're very open with your casting. You're very open
totally.
with the production, and it sounds like you want it to be a very collaborative production.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Well, Marisa, thanks so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
So keep an eye out for Marisa and American Benefactor and her upcoming web series. Again, what's the
Roommate.
The Roommate. So she's casting that right now, and she just went into the actors that she's looking for. So give it a look. And we are signing off here. Suburbanites South, Seaside Park. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.